What if one moment of intimacy could trigger a physiological chain reaction in your body that most men over 60 have no idea they're missing? Let me ask you something direct. Have you ever noticed how differently your penis responds when the stimulation comes from oral sex instead of your own hand? That's not imagination. That is biology reacting instantly, and the effect is far more powerful than men realize. When a woman performs oral sex on you, there's a unique combination of warmth, moisture, suction, rhythm, and psychological anticipation that your nervous system interprets as high-priority stimulation. The receptors along the shaft of your penis send rapid-fire signals through the pudendal nerve, triggering an immediate release of nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for relaxing blood vessels and allowing strong blood flow. For men over 60, this reaction becomes even more valuable because your natural nitric oxide production has already declined with age. In other words, intimate oral stimulation can act like a natural accelerator for erection quality, responsiveness, and confidence. But it goes deeper than circulation. The moment this type of stimulation begins, your brain unleashes dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins, the chemistry of connection, pleasure, and emotional grounding. These chemicals calm anxiety, lower stress, and enhance the sense of masculine vitality. That's why so many older men feel younger, more alive, and more present during oral sex. It's a direct neurological reset that you cannot replicate with routine or mechanical stimulation. And here's something men rarely talk about. The psychological impact of receiving focused, intentional touch creates a powerful sense of validation. It reinforces intimacy, strengthens self-esteem, and reawakens parts of your identity you thought had faded with age. When intimacy feels genuine and responsive, your body opens up in ways that support not just sexual performance, but circulatory health, hormonal balance, and emotional stability. These reactions don't happen by accident. They happen because your body is still wired for deep pleasure and real connection, even past 60. Everything you're about to understand in the next sections builds from this single truth: the right type of intimacy can activate biological systems most men assume are gone. You'll see how this ripple effect touches your blood flow, your sleep, your testosterone, and even your long-term health. Before we move on, tell me something in the comments. Have you ever noticed how your erections respond differently depending on the type of stimulation? Your experience matters here, and your comment helps this conversation reach more men. While you're at it, hit like and check if you're subscribed. What you're about to discover next can shift the way you think about intimacy and health entirely, so stay with the momentum we just created. The moment intimacy activates nitric oxide in your body, something deeper begins to happen beneath the surface. Most men over 60 don't realize how closely their erection quality is tied to the health of their vascular system, and how much a single intimate interaction can influence circulation for hours afterward. When your penis receives focused stimulation, especially from a partner's mouth, your arteries respond by widening, softening, and allowing blood to move more freely. This matters because after 60, your vessels tend to stiffen, the endothelium becomes less responsive, and the surge of blood that once felt effortless now demands more biological support. Intimacy, particularly oral stimulation, sends a cascade of parasympathetic signals through your nervous system. Instead of the tension and pressure that often accompany solo stimulation, your body shifts into a state of relaxation that is ideal for healthy blood flow. The smooth muscles in the penile arteries loosen, oxygen reaches the erectile tissue more efficiently, and the corpora cavernosa begin to expand the way they were designed to. This process is essential for maintaining long-term erectile strength because erections themselves act as a form of vascular exercise. They keep the tissues elastic, the vessels open, and the endothelial cells active. There is also an overlooked emotional component that directly influences circulation. When a man feels wanted, touched, or focused on, his stress hormones decrease rapidly. Cortisol, which constricts blood vessels and reduces penile sensitivity, drops almost immediately in moments of genuine intimacy. At the same time, dopamine and oxytocin rise, pushing your cardiovascular system into a more efficient, open, and responsive mode. This is why some men notice stronger, fuller erections during oral sex even if they struggle with firmness at other times. It's not magic, it's biology working under the ideal emotional conditions. And there's another layer men rarely consider. As you age, microvascular health becomes one of the strongest predictors of overall well-being. The same tiny vessels that feed your penis are the ones supporting your heart, your brain, and your muscles. When intimacy repeatedly triggers vasodilation, improved endothelial function, and increased oxygen delivery, you're not just helping your sexual performance, you're training your cardiovascular system to stay flexible, youthful, and adaptive. Many of my older patients describe a noticeable difference in their energy, clarity, and even walking endurance after periods of increased intimacy, and the science behind it is consistent. Better blood flow in one area supports better blood flow everywhere. This is why intimacy isn't just a pleasure, it's a physiological tool. A man who stays sexually active often maintains healthier arteries, lower inflammation levels, and more stable blood pressure than those who allow their circulation to decline slowly over the years. When your body experiences this type of stimulation regularly, it relearns how to respond, how to open, and how to send blood where it's needed without resistance. And as we continue into the next part, you'll see how this improved circulation intertwines with something just as crucial: the way intimacy stabilizes your nervous system, reduces stress, and reshapes the quality of your sleep. As circulation improves, another system reacts almost instantly during moments of genuine intimacy: your nervous system. Men over 60 often underestimate how deeply stress interferes with erection quality, hormonal balance, and overall vitality. High cortisol quietly shuts down libido, stiffens blood vessels, interrupts sleep cycles, and leaves your body in a constant state of alert. What most men don't realize is that intimate stimulation, especially oral stimulation where you feel fully attended to, activates the exact opposite response. It triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for calm, restoration, and healing. When your penis receives slow, rhythmic, intentional stimulation, your brain releases a surge of oxytocin and endorphins, chemicals specifically designed to neutralize cortisol. This shift is not subtle, it's powerful enough to change the entire tone of your physiology. Your breathing deepens, muscle tension releases, and the constant background pressure you've gotten used to begins to fade. For many older men, this is the first time in years their body actually remembers what relaxation feels like. That state alone sets the stage for better erections, clearer thinking, and healthier emotional responses. As this relaxation deepens, your brain prepares for higher quality sleep. Intimacy plays a role here that no supplement or breathing exercise can fully replicate. Dopamine and oxytocin increase feelings of connection and satisfaction, while prolactin gently signals your body that it's safe to shift into recovery mode. This chemical cocktail is one of the reasons intimacy before bed often leads to deeper, more restful sleep cycles. And for men over 60, restful sleep is one of the most underestimated pillars of sexual and cardiovascular health. During deep sleep, your body restores testosterone levels, repairs endothelial cells, and resets your nervous system so the next day begins with clarity instead of exhaustion. It's also important to recognize the psychological weight lifted during intimate encounters. Men often carry unspoken worries, financial pressures, family concerns, fear of aging, fear of declining virility. These mental stresses directly disrupt sleep and feed a cycle where poor rest leads to weaker erections, which leads to more anxiety, which leads to even worse sleep. Intimacy interrupts this pattern. It provides an emotional release that grounds you back into your body instead of your thoughts, giving your brain a break from the constant demands of life. This reduction in mental load is one of the reasons many older men report fewer nighttime awakenings and a steadier mood when intimacy becomes a regular part of their life. As these effects accumulate, something subtle but meaningful begins to happen. Your body becomes more responsive, your mind becomes quieter, and your sleep becomes more restorative. And this creates the foundation for the next piece of the puzzle: how intimacy influences hormonal activity, especially testosterone production, in ways most men don't expect. As your nervous system settles into that calmer, more regulated state, another shift starts happening beneath the surface, one that most men never connect to intimacy: a subtle but measurable rise in hormonal activity. After 60, testosterone doesn't simply disappear, but its production becomes far more sensitive to stress, sleep, blood flow, and emotional connection. This is why the same man can experience dramatically different levels of drive and vitality depending on the quality of intimacy he experiences. And it's also why moments of focused stimulation, especially oral stimulation, can trigger hormonal responses that feel almost like waking something up inside you. When your body enters a state of deep relaxation, cortisol decreases. And cortisol and testosterone are always in a tug-of-war. When one goes up, the other drops. So every intimate experience that lowers stress hormones creates space for testosterone to rise naturally. That rise may be small at first, but it adds up, especially when paired with improved sleep and better circulation, two conditions already strengthened by intimacy in the previous phases. This is why some older men notice that regular intimate contact seems to restore their sense of desire, energy, and masculine identity. It's not psychological wishful thinking. It's hormonal activation. The physical stimulation itself also plays a role. When the penis receives sustained oral stimulation, blood flow increases dramatically. This rise in circulation supports Leydig cell activity in the testes, the cells responsible for producing testosterone. For younger men, this system works efficiently even with inconsistent intimacy. But after 60, hormonal signaling needs stronger physiological cues. Intimacy acts as one of those cues, reminding your endocrine system that sexual function is still relevant and still needed. The body adapts to the signals it receives, and intimacy sends a message that the hormonal machinery should stay active, not retire. There's also a behavioral component many men overlook. Testosterone naturally rises when a man feels desired, powerful, or connected to a partner's focus. When oral stimulation happens, those feelings intensify, and your brain releases a wave of dopamine that directly influences testosterone pathways. Men often describe this as feeling more like myself, or more alive, and the sensation is real. Emotional states are intertwined with hormonal states, and intimacy bridges both effortlessly. As testosterone increases, even modestly, the effects ripple outward. Energy becomes steadier. Motivation returns. Erections feel fuller and easier to maintain. Mood stabilizes, and confidence takes on a quieter, grounded tone instead of relying on performance pressure. This is the kind of hormonal support that doesn't come from injections or supplements, but from the body's own natural recovery systems being reactivated. And this leads directly into a part of male health that gets ignored far too often: how intimacy influences one of the most important organs for men after 60, the prostate. As hormonal signals strengthen and circulation improves, another crucial part of your health begins to benefit from intimacy in ways most men never consider: your prostate. After 60, this small gland becomes one of the central determinants of comfort, urinary function, sexual performance, and long-term well-being. And while many men assume prostate health depends only on medication, supplements, or luck, the truth is that regular intimacy, especially the kind that leads to strong erections and consistent ejaculation, plays a significant protective role. When a man receives sustained oral stimulation, the increase in blood flow doesn't stay limited to the penis. It spreads through the entire pelvic region, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to the prostate. This enhanced circulation helps reduce inflammation, one of the primary drivers of prostate enlargement and discomfort. Older prostate tissue often becomes congested and irritated because blood flow slows with age. Intimacy interrupts that stagnation and encourages natural flushing and repair. Ejaculation adds another layer of protection. The prostate is responsible for producing a large portion of seminal fluid, and when that fluid remains trapped for long periods, it becomes thick, stagnant, and more likely to irritate the ducts. Frequent emptying, triggered by sexual stimulation, helps clear out old secretions, cellular debris, and inflammatory compounds. This is one reason why studies have repeatedly shown that men who ejaculate regularly tend to have fewer prostate symptoms and a lower risk of long-term complications. It's not the act itself, it's the biological maintenance behind it. There's also a biochemical effect that comes into play. During intimacy, your body produces oxytocin and endorphins, both of which help regulate inflammation and stress. Chronic stress is a known contributor to prostate irritation because elevated cortisol can constrict pelvic blood vessels and increase muscular tension around the gland. Moments of pleasure counteract this mechanism by relaxing the pelvic floor, loosening tight muscles, and reducing pressure on the prostate. Many older men don't realize how much pelvic tension they carry until intimacy helps release it. Oral stimulation in particular has a unique advantage. It tends to produce stronger, more natural erections because it combines physical sensation with psychological arousal. This type of erection creates better internal pressure within the pelvic cavity, pushing fresh blood in and circulating old blood out. Think of it as a natural pump cycle for the prostate, one that keeps tissues healthier, more elastic, and better oxygenated. As these benefits accumulate, daily discomfort often begins to ease. Urinary flow improves, nighttime trips decrease, and the heavy sensation some men feel in the lower pelvis begins to fade. But the impact of intimacy on a man's life doesn't stop at biology. There's a deeper emotional shift that affects the brain, identity, and mental clarity, changes that shape how a man feels about aging, connection, and his own masculinity. And that brings us to the next essential layer of this journey. As prostate tension eases and the body begins responding more freely, another transformation takes place, one that many men underestimate until they feel it happening. Intimacy, especially when it's attentive and deeply focused, reshapes the emotional landscape of a man over 60 in ways that ripple through his entire daily life. Physical pleasure is only the doorway. What unfolds behind it is a profound shift in identity, confidence, and psychological stability that few men ever connect to their intimate experiences. When a man receives genuine affection, slow touch, or oral stimulation, his brain releases a surge of oxytocin and dopamine that doesn't just affect mood in the moment, it reconditions neural pathways tied to self-worth, motivation, and emotional resilience. After years of stress, responsibility, and quiet worries about aging, a single moment of real connection can feel like waking up parts of yourself that had been asleep. This isn't fantasy. Neurologically, intimacy softens hyperactive stress circuits and strengthens pathways related to pleasure, bonding, and trust. For many men, this shift shows up as renewed confidence. Not the loud, youthful confidence built on competition, but a calmer, more grounded sense of masculinity. A feeling of being seen, desired, and validated reignites the internal narrative of strength and capability. Older men often tell me that intimacy makes them feel younger, but what they're really describing is the restoration of identity. Years of stress can dull your sense of self, and meaningful touch brings it back into focus. There's also an important cognitive component. Elevated cortisol over long periods is known to impair memory, fog concentration, and reduce mental sharpness. Intimacy reduces cortisol significantly and increases blood flow to the brain, which can improve clarity and emotional balance. Men who experience regular intimacy often report better decision-making, more patience, and fewer emotional outbursts, not because they're trying harder, but because their nervous system is finally operating from a balanced state instead of survival mode. Intimacy also helps dissolve one of the heaviest burdens men carry, the fear of decline. The fear of being unwanted, unneeded, or left behind by the natural changes of aging. When a partner engages with you deeply, when she focuses on your pleasure, takes her time with your body, or performs oral sex with genuine desire, it challenges the narrative that aging diminishes your value. It reinforces the truth that your capacity for connection, pleasure, and masculinity remains intact. As these emotional and psychological benefits accumulate, they create something rare and powerful: vitality. Not just sexual vitality, but daily vitality, the kind that makes you walk differently, speak differently, and approach challenges with steadier confidence. And when that inner strength combines with better circulation, improved sleep, healthier hormones, and a supported prostate, the path becomes clear. Intimacy is no longer just an experience. It becomes a therapeutic practice, one that shapes your overall health in ways that lead us directly to the final piece of this journey. When all these layers come together: stronger circulation, calmer nerves, healthier hormones, a supported prostate, and renewed confidence, intimacy becomes far more than a pleasurable moment. It becomes a therapeutic practice, something that reinforces vitality in a man's body day after day. And here's the part most men don't realize: the benefits don't depend on intensity or frequency alone. What matters most is the quality of connection, the presence in the moment, and the way your body responds when intimacy feels safe, attentive, and unhurried. For many men over 60, oral stimulation becomes a powerful tool in this process because it naturally slows the pace, invites trust, and allows the body to open without pressure. The warmth, the rhythm, the focus, it creates a perfect environment for the physiological and emotional changes we've been unraveling throughout this journey. It encourages erections that feel fuller and more natural, it supports ejaculation that helps the prostate stay clear, and it provides a level of validation that reignites a man's inner strength. But the true transformation happens when intimacy becomes integrated into daily life, not as an obligation, not as a performance, but as a shared ritual of connection. The small gestures matter: a longer kiss, a slow touch, a moment where you let yourself receive without rushing. These are the experiences that help your body maintain healthy blood flow, lower inflammation, stabilize mood, and strengthen your sense of identity. They remind you that you are still capable of pleasure, still capable of desire, and still capable of being desired. Think of intimacy as maintenance for your masculinity. Not in a superficial sense, but in the biological and emotional ways that keep you strong. When you let your body experience connection, you give your cardiovascular system, your hormones, and your nervous system a reason to stay responsive. And when you allow yourself to feel pleasure without fear or pressure, you teach your mind that aging doesn't take anything away, it simply changes the path toward vitality. If you've followed this journey until now, then you already feel the truth of it. You know that intimacy is not just a moment, it's a force that shapes your health, your mood, and your future. And the more you understand how your body works, the more control you gain over how you age from here. Before you go, I'd love to know your perspective. Leave a comment below with the phrase "I'm still in the game," so I know you reached the end of this conversation and felt the value in it. And if this video helped you see intimacy in a new way, go ahead and like it. It supports the channel and helps this message reach other men who need it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next steps in this journey, because there's a video right here on the side that expands on everything we talked about today. Click it and keep going. Your health, your confidence, and your vitality deserve that continuity.